Insights into Existence, Essays on the Upanishads. Iti shushruma dhiranam yenastad vichachakshire, iti shushruma purvesham yenastad vyachachakshire. Such was the utterance we have heard from those ancient, patient and wise teachers who have explained it to us. Ishavasyopanishad and Kenopanishad. Dedicated at the feet of Paramahamsa Sri Ramakrishna Deva and Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Prologue. An endless sea of hard rock and sand. Wherever the eyes gaze, they behold the shiny, yellowish, orange stone and sand. The sun is pouring his fusion energy over it mercilessly. The place is the Gobi Desert in China. The name Gobi has been derived from the Mongolian, which means place without water. Deep in such harsh landscape, some anthropologists and paleontologists are busy with the excavation in search of the proofs of human origin. Their painstaking effort brings them face to face with 65 million year old fossils that contribute to the existing fund of confusing knowledge. In the Amazonian jungles, some biologists are looking for species of endangered birds, come across some very species of insects that give a clue to life on this planet. Somewhere in Croatia, in a cave named Vindija, amidst icicles, some bony remains of Neanderthal men are discovered. Outside the cave lies a snow-covered valley frequented by the herds of elk and reindeer. Elsewhere on a mountaintop, an astronomer is glued to his telescope peeping into the past. He is looking for the events that may have happened thousands or even millions of years back. The Hubble telescope, launched in the space, makes available some of the clearest images of the cosmic events and objects to the waiting and eager scientists. Some more persons are involved in decoding the mystery of the human body and genes. The success and failure of their predecessors have helped them to understand the cause and effect of diseases and to offer solutions to the problems faced by man. With all these scientific and technological advances, man appears to have got stuck to his reptilian territoriality and his caveman barbarism, resulting in confusion and misery at all levels. Apparently, the whole world seems to be marching towards its own gloom. However, there is no cause for despair, as man has always found solutions amidst crisis and has triumphed over the obstacles. If he has been responsible for the condition he is presently in, he alone can and will jump out of this challenging storm. Peeping into the long human history, we find many examples of sane and healthy life, though in small pockets. But then, any transformation, whether positive or negative, has always originated in a single person's mind. There are only a handful persons like Lao Tzu, the Buddha, the Christ and Prophet Muhammad, who have changed the world to the better, or those who drenched the earth with human blood by spreading division and hatred, like Genghis Khan, Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini, as only a few lead and the others are fated to follow. Among the benign leaders, there have been some who have left some of the greatest poems and dialogues ever written by humanity. Surprisingly, they never claimed any authorship, nor did they record the dates. The literature has come to be known as the Vedas, In spite of the fact that they are not strictly historical, the anonymous poems and dialogues have influenced the psyche of India for thousands of years. So much so that the tradition claims that Vedas are eternal, apaurushaya, or not man-made, infinite and without beginning or end. Scientifically educated persons find these claims too tall and tend to reject them. However, by Vedas, no books are meant, but wisdom and knowledge which is definitely infinite. The tradition further claims that the knowledge is available to anyone who pursues it at any time. Even the great scientists like Isaac Newton, who have made great contributions to mankind, have accepted this fact. A few days before his death, he wrote, "I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seashore and diverting myself now and then in finding a smoother pebble here and a prettier shell there, while the infinite ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me." While Vedic poetry is in adoration of nature or natural forces like rain, wind, fire, dawn and sun, the dialogues are so enlightening as to offer solutions to the eternal human problems, suggesting a way of life which can and do usher harmony in life. However, this wonderful literature too, as other movements, has transformed only a few lives and mostly has remained as a dead and mechanical tradition. That's because a dead and mechanical tradition does not demand any transformation of the quality of life, and there is nothing much at stake, while a living master or tradition brings in total revolution in life. No doubt, even the mechanical chanting of the verses has helped in the preservation of the precious literature from the times before the writing was invented, not to mention printing. But it is very much like keeping a nicely packed gift without bothering to open it, for it is the most precious gift ever offered to mankind. Curiosity happens to be a very strong instinct in animals, starting from the primates up to the human beings. Man was driven by this instinct towards nature and wanted to explain it, which has come to us as the legacy of science and technology. Almost simultaneously, a few men started paying attention towards the supernatural forces that appeared to be inexplicable. They offered worship to such forces as lightning, thunder, rain, floods, etc., in awe and in fear. Just as the curiosity remained and still remains unquenched by scientists, they too were not satisfied with their own explanations, and the revolution took place when some of them, especially in the East, discovered that the confusion increased as and when they tried to know the world of multiplicity. Instead of proceeding in the outward direction, they turned their attention onto themselves. To their pleasant surprise, they discovered that human being alone can be aware of that entity which perceives the objects and is conscious of the outside world, and that this entity is separate from the world of objects, that it is the senses and mind which are responsible in bringing the information to another entity called the ego, and that even body, senses, mind and ego are subservient and are the manifestations or shadows of the self. And finally, they realized that this self, which they call the Atman, is infinite, all-encompassing and eternal, and is behind everything and being. On this discovery, they realized that the cause for the human fear, agony, anguish and misery is the wrong notion of separateness from others, or in short, the notion of otherness, which they called Dvaita Bhava. From such a level of awareness and understanding, they found that the suffering is a myth and not at all necessary, and in their infinite compassion towards their fellow beings, shared their insights through the Upanishads. Thus, the Upanishads are cordial invitations to share the insights into existence, to enjoy a harmonious, a full, and a blissful life. A sage declares in an Upanishad, Shrunvantu Vishve Amrutasya Putra Aye Dhamani Divyani Chakshuhu Vedahametam Purusham Mahantam Adityavarnam Tamasah Parasthat. Listen, O sons of immortality. You have the capacity to win over the divine worlds through divine vision. I have known this Supreme Person, who is all radiance that shatters all ignorance, knowing whom you can transcend death. There is no other path to the supreme state. The observations of such compassionate sages, their ecstatic exclamations, their invitations for the divine adventure, and their guidance for treading the path form the subject matter of the Upanishads. The goal as described in the Upanishads is so vast that the words are too limited to express it. However, the only medium they had, or for that matter human beings have, for expression is word. And the rishis have tried all possible methods to use the word effectively to point out the goal, to hold the hand of a seeker and guide him, and to lure the person who approaches them to plunge into the adventure, into the consciousness. The following essays attempt to present a study on the Upanishads, which offer so much to humanity. The Upanishads have solutions to even apparently trivial problems. In fact, they convince us that there is nothing like the trivial or important, the ordinary or extraordinary, or the sacred or profane. That the existence is one without the other, that the realization of this non-dual reality is not only possible for every one of us, but mandatory to dissolve all our problems, and that the so-called problems are really the invitations to be in the state of Advaita or non-duality.